All righty. So everyone, I'm going to unmute folks so it makes it a little nicer. Hello, everyone. I'm going to unmute everyone. If you want to mute yourselves, that's perfectly fine. This is David Strauss. Eric, are you there still?
Yep, I am.
Okay, good. All right. Looks like we lost Chris, so I think he's going to be.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'm on audio, but
okay.
I got to reconnect to the webinar.
Yep, no problem.
But my restart is done.
Okay. Looks like we've got a few folks in the room. We'll get started in a moment. Everyone is unmuted, but if you want to mute yourself to keep it, if there's any background noise, just please do so. Looks like we've got, so far I see Catherine Sanders, Cooper Riley, Evangelos Gatsios, Catherine Ogg, Shane Armstrong, Will Dreyer, Annette Harper, Blake Perez. Erica, whenever you want to get going, just let me know. And
okay, yeah. Why don't we go ahead and get going, and then if a few more people trickle in, that'll be just fine. Yeah. Okay. So welcome everybody.
All right. Yeah. Everyone's self-muted, so reply. All right. All right. You want to start off? Yes. You want me to kick it off? And then
sure, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you all for joining in on the Rocky Mountain chapter call. It's great to see the number of folks that have joined. This is the Rocky Mountain's first chapter meeting in quite some time, so it's great to see it coming back together and folks meeting up and having the opportunity to network with each other and hear from some of the chapter members about what they're working on in their own organizations. For those of you who don't know me, my name's David Strauss, and I'm ACT's Executive Director on the national level. And I've been serving in this role for about 1.5 years now, and very happy to see the work that is going on throughout the organization and the chapters that we have. Rocky Mountain is one of 12 chapters across the country. It's actually got a great history and some I don't know if it's a heritage, but it has a lot that it has done over the years at different times, and so it had kind of a bit of a dry spell in the last couple years, but I'm very happy that Erica has volunteered to serve as the chapter president, just recently moving into the chapter a couple months ago at Colorado State, and being able to move into this role. It's been a really positive experience for me working with Erica and helping her get things organized, to have a work plan pulled together for the chapter and a budget, and starting to see activity taking place on the local level. As a national organization, it's often hard for folks to, participate in connect with other members when, we've got 800 folks spread across the country. And that's why the local chapters are so important, to kind of build those connections on the local level. So I just want to really thank Erica for all that she's willing to do and what she has done in just a short time as chapter president. To thank the rest of the chapter board, Chris as vice president, Nicole Stern as treasurer, David Cook as secretary, Annette Harper, as an at-large member. We are a membership and volunteer-run organization, and this is not anyone's full-time job except for mine. So I greatly appreciate any and all the work that you do to help advance the work of the organization and the chapter. I just thought I'd give a couple quick updates as well on some of the national activities, just so folks have an idea of what we're working on outside of the chapter. There's a few big projects that we've started to initiate in just the last year, things that have been sitting on the back burner of ACT for a long time and are finally starting to move forward. One of significance is certification. It's the idea of creating a TDM professional, certified TDM professional program that would allow individuals to be certified through an exam of their knowledge and skills within the TDM industry. This is actually being chaired by Aaron Fodge, a member of the Rocky Mountain chapter, who's been working on this and keeping it, the drumbeat going over the last few years on the national board to make sure that we didn't forget about the membership's desire to see a certification program created. We are about to enter a very exciting phase of that project with a national jobs analysis survey that's going to be going out in a couple weeks to really gather the key skills and abilities that TDM professionals have. When you get that survey, I would encourage you to take a couple minutes, 10, 15 minutes that it should take to fill it out and submit the information back to us, so that as we go to develop an exam for certification, that it is properly reflecting all of the skills and abilities and knowledge that TDM professionals have across the country. Another exciting program that we are just about to announce, we'll be announcing it officially at the International Conference next month, but I'll just give you all a sneak peek. It's a new emerging leaders program called Impact Leadership. It's designed for individuals with 2 to 5 years of experience within the industry. So it's there to help people kind of build their own skill set within leadership and TDM itself. It'll be a 3-day retreat next January at Disney World. So for those of you, in the Rocky Mountains who are interested in some warm weather in January, it's something for you to look into and to think about participating in. It's going to feature a half day on TDM and the TDM industry, a full day on leadership training, personal coaching, how to work with your, how to, have effective communications. It'll include a self-assessment, a detailed self-assessment tool that will provide you with ongoing recommendations of self-improvement. And then it will also include a half day on ACT and how do you make the most out of your membership in the association. So I encourage those of you that might be interested to take a look at it when it comes out, and would encourage the chapter to think about the possibility of providing a scholarship for a chapter member to participate in that program. The goal is to really help in identifying future leaders of the organization and help them, provide them with the skills that they need to step into roles of leadership within ACT as well as within their own personal organizations. And of course, we've got our international conference coming up in a few weeks in New Orleans. Hope all of you will be able to join us. If you are thinking about it and are interested, please feel free to reach out to myself or Casey Murphy at ACT and ask any questions. The discount rate ends next February. Next Friday. I don't even know why February was in my mind, but next Friday. So it'll save you $100 to register before then. And then in October we have our TBM Forum in Las Vegas. So it's a relatively close event for a lot of folks in the chapter. It'll feature 2 days of more discussion-based sessions, really looking at utilizing the sessions that will be there and the panelists to spark conversation and dialogue amongst all the attendees that are in the sessions. We're looking at some sessions on how to select the proper bike share system for your community, your campus, there's some sessions on interviewing and kind of behavior change, and the full program will be going out in a couple weeks. And then our periodic webinar series, we try and do 6 webinars a year. We had a series of 3 of them that just wrapped up, and the next 3 will start in the fall. Great opportunities for at your desk learning, and encourage everyone to sign up and participate in those that are free for ACT members. That's my update. I'll turn it over to Erica and give her control of the screen and let her run through everything, and just again thank her so much for stepping up to run the chapter, and greatly appreciate all the work she's been doing.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that introduction, David. And I am, guys, hopefully, let me get my slideshow up and running here. Okay, it looks like you guys can hopefully see my screen now. Can one person just holler out and confirm? Yeah?
I see it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you. So as David mentioned, I over the past few months stepped in to act as president for the Rocky Mountain Chapter Board. I am relatively new to my position here at Colorado State University, but I actually maybe know a lot of you folks from when I worked in Denver. My last name has recently changed, but my last name before was Camp. So if that helps piece together anything for any of you guys that I worked with in Denver before, I'm really looking forward to getting to spend some time with you guys again. I was in Southern California for a few years, so I got to be involved in the board there at the Southern California chapter, and enjoyed that role. And so I'm now really happy to be back in Colorado and being able to get to know all of you guys. And certainly it's a little bit of a more geographically spread out chapter than it was in the LA area. So I think we're going to have to be a little creative about how we can all communicate and make sure that we have the opportunity to to sit down and chat on a regular basis. But I think that we'll look to you as chapter members to make suggestions also on what you think will be most valuable, so that we can make sure we have a really engaged chapter. So before I introduce our speaker today, Chris, I just wanted to go through a couple of quick updates regarding the chapter. First of all, thanks a lot. We have our whole board listed up here on this first slide. Some of these board members, including Nicole, David, and Annette, have been involved in this chapter for many years and have been so helpful in kind of getting things rolling. And I know that some of them are on the call. I think Nicole is out this week, but I know Annette is on the call, and David, and also we have Chris as our speaker, so you'll get to hear from him. But thanks to the whole board. And I put this LinkedIn icon on our slide because I think maybe one of the ways that we can help stay in touch with each other and sort of have an informal forum for us to chat is by using our existing LinkedIn group, which I think just hasn't been used in a while. I'm working on gaining control of that group or getting in as an administrator of the group. But if you go into your LinkedIn accounts and search for the Rocky Mountain chapter of ACT, you should be able to find that group. And if you guys can if you're not already in there, if you can join in, we'll work on kind of boosting that up as a way that we can just share ideas and get the word out about things that are going on in our region. So I wanted to congratulate our scholarship winners for the ACT International Conference. We have 2 people from Missoula in Motion who applied together, so jointly for our scholarship, and that's Catherine Ogg and Lindsay Norman. And so congratulations, we're really excited that you guys will be able to go to the international conference. And I wanted to also let everyone in the chapter know that it's for both Catherine and Lindsay, it'll be their first time attending an ACT conference, and also that they'll actually be involved in a panel or a presentation on current trends and innovative programs that TMAs have implemented to improve employees' journeys. So I'll encourage you to look for them at the conference, everyone who will be there, and maybe even attend that presentation. And we have budgeted in also some other scholarship opportunities for other ACT events as we move forward in the year, including the TDM forum. So everybody definitely keep an eye out for those opportunities. I think that's one way that we can help provide some value to our members. All right, and then our next real opportunity to talk as a chapter will be at the ACT International Conference. So, oh, sorry, I guess you can't see this. That orange. There we go. Make it a little easier for you guys to see. We do have a chapter meeting scheduled, and that during the conference, and that is on Monday, July 31st, so the first full day of the conference from 4:30 to 5:30, and there's the room. It'll be on the agenda that you get when you come to the conference as well on the itinerary. But definitely, please come to that meeting. We're hoping that's going to be a good opportunity for us to chat as a group and get an idea of what we can do as a chapter in the coming year and what our members are looking for, so we can make the best use of our resources. And then immediately after that, we're doing our chapter dinner. So we have reservations at the Palace Cafe, which is right down the street from our hotel. It looks like it's going to be great New Orleans style food. Annette has been coordinating with that restaurant to get us a space. So wanted to let you guys know the dinner will be covered, and you're also welcome if you're traveling with a spouse or a partner. You're welcome to bring them as well. Only thing you'll have to pay for is if you get drinks. But please, so we know how many people to expect, please RSVP to Annette, and so her information is up there, and I'll follow up with an email as well with this information so you guys can let her know too. But please RSVP to her, and that'll help us kind of secure our reservation with enough seats. But we look forward to doing that with all of you. And I think with that, I don't have my last slide up here. Oh, I had a little introduction slide for Chris, but I will read it for you guys. I'm going to pass it along to Chris, our Vice President, and also our featured speaker for the day. Oh, there it goes. And let me real quick do an intro for you before you dive in, Chris. So Chris Hacklin is a senior transportation planner with the City of Boulder and manages the Transportation Demand Management Program for Go Boulder. He's responsible for working with employers, employees, and residents to reduce single-occupant vehicle travel, vehicle miles traveled, and transportation-related emissions. Before joining the city in 2007, Chris was a senior research associate at the Center for Urban Transportation Research. When not managing travel demand in Boulder, Chris enjoys camping, hiking, biking, and kayaking in the foothills and mountains of Colorado with his family. So thank you so much for presenting for us, Chris, and I will hand it right over to you. So it looks like everyone can see Chris's screen now, right?
They should be. Hey, Erica, it's Casey on the line.
Okay. Does everyone see his parking and TDM access districts slide?
Yep, I can see it. If you could see it on yours, Erica and Chris, then everyone else should be able to.
Perfect.
All right.
Hello.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Erica. Thank you, everybody, for joining. what I wanted to do today is to share with everybody kind of some of the more innovative things that we're doing in the city of Boulder, related to both parking and TDM in a kind of emerging transit-oriented development district, which we call Boulder Junction now. But prior to its name of Boulder Junction, it was the Transit Village area, and that came out of the Transit Village Area Plan. So not quite a nice, sexy name. So it was changed to Boulder Junction kind of once it actually emerged from the ground. So, but the Boulder Transit Village is a long time coming. As you can see on this slide, the original concept developed way back before the turn of the century, back in 1996. And it was just a commitment to increase transit in a different part of Boulder, not just the downtown. In the downtown, we have at 14th and Walnut, downtown Boulder, we have a transit center that's very highly used. But we were looking at how employment was kind of growing outside of the downtown, and we really wanted to create a new transit hub with RTD in kind of the northeast part of Boulder, or at least northeast of the downtown. So there was some land that was in Boulder, and it was kind of light industrial. There were car dealerships, there was a lumber yard, there was some open space, and it was right next to the train tracks. And so this site was selected to be kind of the new transit location. And in 2004, the city and RTD worked together to purchase one site, the Pollard site, which was a Pollard Automotive, and was on that site to build a new transit facility. And so RTD received some federal funding for that new facility. And then once that land was purchased, we had to come up with a plan. So we worked on the Transit Village Area Plan, beginning in 2007 when I first joined the city. This is when we really started to looking at what are we going to do with this land? What are we going to do with this transit-oriented development? How are we going to plan it out to make sure that this is a really effective place in creating a place where people could use transit, could walk, could bike, and reduce kind of our single occupant vehicle usage. So it was, certainly a long planning process, but in 2015 is when, it finally opened. So really 19 years after the concept, we finally had Depot Square open, which is kind of the heart of Boulder Junction. The Transit Village Area Plan really, we looked at how do we transform this industrial, this low density, very suburban type development into a more urbanist development, higher density. Now, density in Boulder means something different because we have a 55-foot height limit. So we can never really get too dense, like cities that can build high rises on top of transit. But, denser for Boulder. Really pedestrian oriented and mixed use. We didn't want to have the separated uses. And what was really important was providing a diversity of housing. In Boulder, the median house price is now like almost $1 million. And we are having a hard time housing our workers. About half of our workforce lives outside of the city limits and commutes in. So it's an issue that we've got to address, and we thought this was how we're going to address it, by creating a transit-oriented development, mixed use, higher density, pedestrian-oriented, and a mix of housing choices. So that was kind of the foundation of the Transit Village plan. Now, specifically the Depot Square project, that's kind of the term associated with Boulder Junction and our partnership with RTD. So essentially what came out of it was we built with RTD an underground bus facility. It has 7 bays that buses can pick up and drop off passengers. Right above that underground transit station, we have a parking garage, and that parking garage is pretty unique in that it serves a variety of users. It serves our transit users. It serves the hotel, which is right next door, which is a Hyatt Place hotel, and it provides affordable housing wrapped around the parking garage. So you have the bus facility underground, right above it a parking garage. It's wrapped with affordable housing, and then right next door and really connected to a hotel. In the plaza, we also took Boulder's historic train depot. We moved it from kind of downtown Boulder, and we moved it, picked it up and moved it, and now that is a restaurant and community meeting place. And then we have a large plaza, we have a shared street, and really we actually spent, I think, on this project a lot more than normal on our public art. So that's kind of the Depot Square project. And then that Depot Square is surrounded by additional mixed-use developments. And I think really importantly, this whole plan was connected to RTD's Fast Track plan, which is their light rail plan. And Boulder Junction was seen as one of those nodes within the Northwest corridor. Now, we probably won't see a train until 2040, and we may not like it because it may be slow and commuter rail rather than, you know, higher speed light rail. But in the meantime, what we've done is made sure that both Boulder Junction and our downtown station at 14th and Walnut is part of the growing bus rapid transit system that we have, which is also connected to State Route or US Route 36, which connects Denver to Boulder, and that we've put in a managed lane. It's a hot lane, and for express buses. So we have great new bus service, and it's called the Flatiron Flyer, and that goes from Denver Union Station and the Civic Center to both downtown Boulder and as well as Boulder Junction. Also along 36 is a great bikeway that we built, which was packed yesterday on Bike to Work Day. Just to kind of give you an idea of some of the other projects that are in the Boulder Junction area, we have a number of residential. So we have, as I mentioned, the Depot Square apartments. Those are the affordable apartments wrapped around the parking. Across the street from Depot Square, we have, which now is called the Griffiths. It used to be Solana. It's gone through a couple of name changes. But those are almost 300 market rate apartments. And then they also have 3 ground level retail spaces, which are now a pizza place. There's a salon, hair salon, and then I think there's like a yogurt shop now. So that's there. Just across the Goose Creek, where we have the Goose Creek Path, kind of bisecting Boulder Junction, we have Nickel Flats, and those were market rate condos, sold immediately, filled up. And then we have the Pollard site, which is the automotive site. Right now, that is in the process of being scraped, and that's a city-owned property within Boulder Junction, and that's where we're going to put in more affordable housing with Boulder Housing Partners, and then also there's going to be kind of like a pocket park, which will be adjacent to the Depot Square Plaza. Just south of the market rate apartments, Griffiths, are the Rev apartments. There's going to be, I think, several hundred. I don't know the exact number, but there'll be several hundred market rate apartments with some ground level retail as part of that project. So again, we're really concentrating on a place where people both live and work. On the commercial side, right now we have about 700 employees working in Boulder Junction already. We have, as the slide says, about 415 residents so far. That's going to increase to way over 1,000 residents in the future. And commercial employees, we predict that we may have upwards of maybe 3,000 employees. Hyatt Place right now is one of the commercial areas that's there, 150 rooms. The Roadhouse Grill is in the old historic depot. And then we have a bunch of commercial properties that are under construction. So we have the Commons. This is a multi-tenant, all commercial complex. It's a kind of a net zero LEED platinum building. Really excited about that. Then there's the Spark development, which is for Sutherland Park. That used to be the lumber yard. This is going to be a mixed-use development with both commercial and market rate townhouses. And then what we're certainly really excited about is Google had decided to build their new campus at Boulder Junction. That's where they wanted to be. That's where land was available. But they said that the combination of having the bus facility right there, possibly future rail, but then also the benefits of living in Boulder Junction and working in Boulder Junction, which I'll explain in a little bit. But they expect at build out to have about 1,400 employees working in Boulder Junction at their new campus. So very excited about that. We also did some really cool improvements. We've created some shared streets. We've expanded our multi-use path system to connect people to other parts of the city from Boulder Junction. It connects right to our Goose Creek Path, which is one of our main east-west pathways. And we created some shared streets as well. There's one called Junction Place, and it's a kind of like a Wooner, using the Dutch term of a street where it's just kind of shared. All the curbs are mountable, and so kind of a free-flowing type facility. So kind of shifting gears a little bit. So when we decided to create Boulder Junction, one of the things we wanted to do was to look at what has been successful in other parts of the city, and really particularly in downtown Boulder, and how are we going to apply those lessons learned in Boulder Junction. One of the key things we talked about is that we need to have a district approach. We need to think of this as a functioning system of properties, and we want to use general improvement districts of GIDs, which are property taxing entities, in order to provide a source of funding to manage parking and travel within the district. So we're using a district approach. And in fact, in Boulder Junction, we use 2 overlapping GIDs. In the downtown, we have a GID, and that's for parking. And what that GID has done downtown has built multiple public parking structures. So not every commercial building has to provide its own parking. We've been able to get rid of surface lots and redevelop those lots because we have now 5 public parking structures, and there's also 2 private ones providing the parking. The downtown district also manages all parking. So that's something we want to do in Boulder Junction. We're going to manage all on-street parking. We're going to manage all the parking that's in the garages. So it's all managed, and the GID provides the funding to do that. We wanted to make sure that we had all multimodal options. We want to have transit service, bike connections, ped connections, and I think kind of those emerging modes like bike share, car share, and then your transportation network companies, your Ubers and Lyfts. And we wanted to have the same type of TDM programs. So how do you connect people to those modes? In the downtown, what we do is we use parking revenue to purchase eco passes, which are your universal all access and limited use transit pass. that's provided by RTD. So we wanted to give those to everybody, like we do in the downtown. In the downtown, we take a portion of the parking revenue, and we simply buy, I think right now, almost 7,000 EcoPasses for downtown employees. So you got to pay to park, but here's your free EcoPass. So we want to do the same thing in Boulder Junction, but expand it. And then really importantly, it's about creating a place, a destination. Downtown, we have the Pearl Street Mall, pedestrian mall. That is a place where people go, visitors go, people who work and live here go. So it's really, how do you create another place like that where people want to go? It's a destination. So we applied all of these things that we learned about downtown Boulder in Boulder Junction. Some of the things that we did on the parking side is that we use parking maximums for all the commercial buildings, so you can only build X amount of parking, and it's all related to the, the land use for the commercial side. But we wanted to make sure that we did not overpark Boulder Junction. We wanted more leasable space for residents and employees. On the residential side, we put an absolute limit of 1 parking space per residential unit. We had never tried this in Boulder, but we thought this would be the place where people could live car light or car free. So 1 space per unit. And one of the things we said in all our materials is Boulder Junction may not be for everybody. Not everybody may want to live there, but if you want to live a more pedestrian-oriented lifestyle, if you want to live car free or car light, then this is the place to do it. Also, all of the parking in Boulder Junction is guided by our SUMP principles, and that is shared, unbundled, managed, and paid. So all the parking is shared. When you think about the building, like that parking deck or parking structure that's above the transit facility, all of it is shared. That parking structure is shared between Hyatt residents or Hyatt visitors, residents of the Depot Square apartments, transit users, and then anybody visiting Boulder Junction to eat or visit, or go to one of the commercial properties. So it all has to be shared. We're not building separate parking for all the uses. All the parking is unbundled. So residents, they only get 1 space per unit at max, but if they don't want it, they don't have to pay for it. So it's unbundled from leases. For the commercial properties, a tenant is basically saying, all right, this is how many parking spaces I want to provide. So, both the Commons and the Spark development are providing some parking that they can sell to the employees. Part of the parking structure is also dedicated to the district, so people can go and use that. It's all managed, and there is absolutely no free parking in Boulder Junction. So this may be something that, other Rocky Mountain Act, people may want to investigate, is having these types of principles which guide parking. So the SUMP principles. So we have, so what we did in Boulder Junction is, as I said, we created 2 overlapping general improvement districts or property taxing districts. So we have our parking access district, and then right on top of that is our transportation demand management access district. So what the parking access district does, it collects property tax money from all the commercial and residential properties. That money is pooled in an account. What that funding goes to is all the on-street parking management enforcement. It finances the construction of our public parking structure. So we've already built one above the transit facility, and most likely we're going to build a second one across on the other side of the Goose Creek, so kind of to the north of the transit building. And so this will be shared structure so that all the development doesn't have to provide their own on-site parking. We're also looking at very cool technology innovations, because you can imagine if you have a parking garage that is serving hotel users, residents, employees, people who are just visiting, transit users. It's a very complicated gate system to know. The gate system has to know how many people are staying at the Hyatt who have cars. It has to know how many residents have cars. And it has to know how do you manage how many transit users come in and use it. So very complicated gate system. that we're working with here. So, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of lessons learned that will develop out of that functioning system. Now, what I'm most excited about is the TDM Access District. And at the time it was created, I'm not sure if it was the first in the country or one of the first in the country, but essentially we created a taxing district to provide TDM benefits and programs and services to people who live and work in Boulder Junction. The TDM Access District is guided by a trip generation allowance. So it's an ordinance which says only 45% of all trips by residents and employees of Boulder Junction can be in a single occupant vehicle. That was kind of related to how many trips were currently being taken by the property, and the people of Boulder didn't want to see any net increase in traffic. So we've got a trip generation allowance that says, okay, you've got to meet this goal of 45% of trips being in SOV only. But what you know, to accomplish that, the compliance of that ordinance, what we've done is we're collecting the money from the properties, and we have a reliable and scalable source of funding for TDM. We initially collect pilot fees, which are payment in lieu of taxi fees, and then we collect property taxes on top of that, or after the pilot fees are done. And what we do is we administer the programs with this money. So for residents, employees, every resident employee of Boulder Junction gets an RTD EcoPass, so unlimited transit use. Here you go use it. We also provide them with a car share benefit. So they are automatically members of Ego Car Share, and we have given them $25 a year to try out car sharing. So we have a couple of car share vehicles located in Boulder Junction right now, and we'll expand that. And then also right now we have, we provide a 50% discount on Boulder B-Cycle annual membership. So if you live at in Boulder Junction or you work in Boulder Junction, you get half price membership. That may be the first thing we change, is making that a full membership soon. But it's great to have a taxing district providing those funds. We know how much these things are going to cost based on how many people we have, employees and residents. And if we're not meeting that ordinance, we can use that money to provide new programs, new incentives to people, like a free membership to bike share. We're also thinking about, how do we work in the Ubers and Lyfts of the world? Can we use TDM taxing district money to subsidize those types of trips as well for those people who are car light or car free? We've created a system with great multimodal access with our Goose Creek Path, connections to the Flatiron Flyer. In the lower right is a picture of the underground bus station. And then we also have a pool bike program that's coming in through Community Cycles, which is more of your long-term bike rental. So the bike share can provide the short-term 30-minute rides, whereas if someone needs it the whole day, or they're going somewhere where a bike station doesn't exist, they can check out one of these orange bikes that you can see are being manufactured there from Community Cycles, and use those throughout the day. What's really key in the TDM Access District is really letting people know what benefits there are to them, and then how to use these multimodal options. So every year we have a TDM summit with the property owners and property managers, so they have the information needed to communicate to the residents of their properties or to their employees of what the benefits are. We've created a welcome kit that's both in electronic form and then also in hard copy form that we just give to them, that says, hey, here's the benefits of living in Boulder Junction. You get an EcoPass, you get a car share membership, you get a half price B-Cycle membership. Here's how you get them, here's how you use them. We've created functional maps of, here's all your transit connections. Here's how do you get downtown. Here's how you get to Denver. Here's how you get up to Longmont or into Boulder Junction from Longmont. So we've created a lot of materials to help people with taking advantage of the TDM Access District. What is also going on is that we need to continually measure travel behavior in Boulder Junction to make sure that we're working towards complying to that ordinance of 45% of trips being an SOB. So we actually just completed our first vehicle trip generation analysis. We are not in compliance at this time. We had 64% of all trips in single occupant vehicles. Now, granted, the district is just, it's only a couple years old. Google hasn't moved in yet, and a lot of stuff is still under construction. So, but we feel that that's a good starting point, a good baseline, and we know that we may have to do a little bit more with our residents employees to get to that 45% compliance. So we've done that vehicle trip analysis, and then in the fall we have our Boulder Valley Employee Survey that we'll be doing to gather some more information from employees, and we may even add the residents to that one to figure out what is driving their travel behavior. And kind of to wrap it up, some of the conclusions is when you're looking at maybe the creation of one of these new TOD mixed-use areas for employees and residents, one thing you need to understand, it's a long haul. As I mentioned at the beginning, this process started in 1996. It didn't open until 2015, and we're only, really, in terms of the construction and everything, we're only maybe 15% of the way there right now in terms of build out. So we've got a long way to go still before Boulder Junction is a highly functioning kind of second downtown in Boulder. The public-private partnerships are essential. We working with RTD, working with Boulder Housing Partners for the affordable housing sections, working with the developers for them to really understand what is the concept behind this. What does the sump principles mean to them as they're designing buildings and thinking about the amenities that they're providing. Partnerships also with big employers like Google and making it attractive for them, because if they're going to build a huge new campus, we don't want it on the edge of Boulder just creating more traffic. We want it in a place where people have those options. And really, when you look at Boulder Junction, we've made a lot of changes. We created new land use categories, we created new parking code changes, and we've created this TDM district. So all of those things really have to go together. I think one of the critical things that those two overlapping access districts provide is that dedicated funding source. You have funding, it's reliable, it's predictable, and it's scalable, because you can raise the mill rates at any time to add more programs and services. That has to be approved by the Boulder Junction access boards, but they're all in this together to make sure that this reduced amount of parking still works. And finally, just striving to meet the variety of goals, not only the ordinance, but the goals of creating a pedestrian environment, a mixed-use environment, a really sustainable place, a place that provides some affordable housing. So we had a huge amount of goals originally in the TVAT plan. I think we've done so far a fairly good job of putting all the pieces in place, and now really measuring to see how are we doing, how do we accomplish that stuff. So Boulder Junction is kind of still at the beginning phases, but I think there's a lot of things that people can take away from the process that we've created to improve both parking and TDM services for employees and residents. So that concludes my my presentation, and I'd be happy to take questions.
That's great. Thank you so much, Chris. We really appreciate this presentation. It was wonderful. If you have any questions for Chris, you can just type them in the question box to the left of your name where the question mark sign is. Chris, I do want to let you know that Aaron Fodge had requested to sit next to you at the chapter dinner, though, in New Orleans.
I am sorry I will not be at New Orleans. Unfortunately, my paper wasn't accepted. So, and we're not allowed to go to out-of-state conferences if we don't have papers accepted. So.
I see.
So maybe next time.
And
I wanted to go too, because I love New Orleans.
It is a great city. It is, for sure. Does anyone else have a question for Chris? Oh, we do have one here. Chris, what are the public involvement steps to create a TDM district?
So to create any GID in Boulder, essentially you have to have a vote of the property owners. So the people that own the properties, they have to get together to form the district and vote it in. So that was really, initially you had the city as a property owner, you had RTD, and then you had a couple old Boulder families that owned like the lumber yard and the car dealership, and then there was, I think there was a couple other kind of just light industrial places. So we had to really work with those families to say, you know, we want you to have the ability to redevelop your land, to change the use of it, and we think that this is going to be a benefit to you, whether you want to hold on to that land or if you want to sell it after it's been redeveloped and make some money on it. You know, that was one of the things. We also had to do a lot of public process as part of the Transit Village Area Plan, and that was really about convincing the public and the surrounding property owners that would be outside of the district that this is going to work, that we're not just going to be generating a huge amount of traffic, that these principles will work, and we're going to create a place that is going to have basically no net new traffic trips. You know, and of course, you know, at this point we're maybe, you know, we've got some improvements to make, but I think we've fulfilled that challenge. So it's really, yeah, it's voting in the district and then convincing the other ones that we can do it and we can do it effectively.
Excellent. Thank you. Erica, did you have anything you wanted to add, or is there anything else? I don't have any other questions at the moment.
Oh yeah, I think I typed one in, but I probably typed it into the wrong area. So yeah, it's actually kind of a little follow-up on Chris, sort of what you were mentioning just a minute ago in your answer to the first question, and that's so how did the city determine the trip generation allowance for the project? So how did the city kind of decide what measures they needed to take in order to go for that, you know, net new trip goal?
Yeah. And, you know, that was a, you know, I think we had a philosophy, but then how do you actually measure it and calculate it was the trick. But basically, as part of our convincing of the public that we can do this, and that transit-oriented development worked, we had to say, okay, how many trips are the current land uses generating at peak hour? How many trips are they generating in motor vehicles? And what we said is, we're going to change those land uses, we're going to increase the density, we're going to have people not only working on these properties, but also living on these properties, but we're going to do it in such a way that there are no additional vehicle trips. So what we did was we looked at, okay, what would be that change in density? How many more people would be living here? And what would be, if we wanted to have more people, but not more trips, what would the reduction in vehicle trip generation need to be? And when we did the math, you know, originally you had about 80% of all trips being done in a single occupant vehicle in the area. And if we were going to increase the people but not increase the trips, what that meant was we could only have about 45% of the trips being done in a vehicle, and we would have more person trips but not more vehicle trips. So that's how we got to the 45%. And after our first round of doing some work on that, which is very tricky, of measuring trips going in and out of an area that has multiple entrances, multiple roads going to it, it was kind of tricky. But, you know, our first measure was at 64. So we know we need to do some work, but I think it was a good number to start with. And we think we can get there, especially as we add more transit service. That to me is one of the keys. So we have some transit service into the underground station, but we're looking at adding additional service, peak hour service. We just added airport service out of Boulder Junction, so that was a key one. And then if people are familiar with Boulder and our transit network, we have the hop, skip, jump, and all the named routes. So right now we're looking at also how the hop can be rerouted to better serve Boulder Junction as well. So I think we'll get there, but yeah, it was a lot of math to get.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Anyone else? No? Erica, do you have anything else you want to add before we end the call?
No, just thank you very much. Thank you so much, Chris. I think this is a great, really thought-provoking example for our region, and so hopefully anybody who has any follow-up questions for Chris too can reach out to him on how you can apply it in your community. But yeah, we're looking forward to hopefully having maybe quarterly webinars where we have our chapter members continue to present interesting projects that they're working on. So think about if the rest of you have anything that you would like to share with the chapter, and reach out to us. And otherwise, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone, or those of you who are able to attend in New Orleans this year.
Great. Thank you so much, both Erica and Chris. This was wonderful. Great start to the Rocky Mountain chapter.
Yeah, and yeah, anybody feel free to contact me if you have any questions, about implementation, or, if you want to just any follow-up, I'll be happy to answer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Take care.